Nansen, tu teemat. Tapos naiskomit na napit tapniagan uskagit sigisiga. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Okay. Swampy Cree dialect. I am so proud of my first language because of the fact that I survived 4 atrocious systems, residential school systems. I can't ever talk about somebody else's story except my own. Okay, so I'm just going to introduce myself right now. I'm Elder Betty Ross from the Cree Nation, Cross Lake First Nation, but I've been here since the early '60s. The last residential school I attended was at 621 Academy Road. It's no longer there, 615 Academy Road right now. So we're doing a lot of work there for Sinipoy Residential School Legacy Group. In fact, that's where I'm going to go up right after this, because I sit as co-president and what do you call those people that director, executive director, co-executive director. I retired from the Winnipeg Region Health Authority in 2018. I was there for over 20 years, looking after the whole circle of life, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. Started off at HSC for 11 years, and then I got recruited from WRHA. I retired in 2018. I rested for a year till I got recruited by Seven Oaks School Division, where I'm currently elder in residence for Seven Oaks School Division, teaching in 3 different schools, Indigenous cultural initiatives and our Swampy Cree dialect. It's just super awesome. I just love my line of work. And then I get called all over Treaty 1 here, businesses, they're coming forward now, and that's so awesome to see and to know that they want to know more about residential schools, because there's a lot of deniers out there, that don't believe there's no such thing as residential schools, And it's so crucial that we're out there with our Indigenous voices. The truth, tapwewin. We want to build that strong foundation of truth first, before reconciliation. Because I don't know anything about reconciliation, but I'm working hard for the truth. In fact, in 2017, I think, I was so surprised that I got contacted from NKU here in Winnipeg that has selected me to receive Queen Elizabeth II Platinum Jubilee Medal. And I didn't email them back, and I said, my goodness, what did I do? And they told me that this was my line of work here in Treaty 1 and our nation's Treaty 5. So I accepted it. And our late leader was there too. We both received our medals at that same day, along with our chief, David Muñoz. That was just an awesome experience that day. So it's what we do as Indigenous peoples. People recognize us in good ways, right? Yes, and that's what's gonna happen to you now that you're, climbing that ladder of success, and having those goals, those visions to follow through, and that's why we're here to more or less lift up each other up, because we go through so much as Indigenous peoples from time immemorial, right? But today we are a nation, and we should be proud. We should have that Indigenous pride. We should to be able to teach others, even non-indigenous peoples, non-indigenous students especially. They are so eager to so eager to learn, and I just love that line of work. Mind you, I'm 78 years old now, but I have hearing aids, so every once in a while I won't be able to hear, but I always get her to repeat what somebody is requesting. As a matter of fact, what do we call that? Wagutuin. I want to talk a little bit about Wagutuin. Do you know what that means?
No. Sorry.
It started.
Say that again.
Wagutuin.
Relationship.
Relationship. Okay.
Yeah. That's kinship. It means kinship. But Wagutuin means all by itself, when I start off, I always say all my relations, that's Wagutuin. Being inclusive, okay? Even with the people from the four directions, from the east, the south, the west, and the north. Because we all walk on Mother Earth daily, and we are all, really related. Doesn't matter where we come from, we're all related. But there's another term with Wagutuin. There's another term before Wagutuin. I wanted to explain custom adoption. Okay. I just forgot the name. There's a term that goes with, there's a word in Swampy cree. Tapuwatuin. It's like I said, yes, that's the one. Yeah. So that's what I used with Miranda when I first started working with her. So I custom adopted her as my daughter. So I just wanted to stress the importance of that we're all, interrelated, right? In our communities too. So that is so crucial to know and to walk that way, especially now, the way the world is going right now, right? You just have to look at the TV and my gosh. Anyway, I don't want to go through there, but I don't want to touch that point there. So it's about languages. It's about knowing where we come from. It's about knowing who we are. It's about knowing why are we here. And it's about knowing where are we going. I'm talking about the whole circle of life. Okay? Mutewin. Wawiyaw Mutewin. We start off from the Wapanuk, Wapanuk, where the sun rises every morning. Wapanuk. Yeah. You want to write that down? Wapanuk. That's the east direction.
First, I'm gonna write Pitamana Masinen Pemute when I twin.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So she had mentioned Pemu Win is your journey.
Your journey.
Your journey. Similar to Pematisiwin is life,
Yeah.
right? We know Pematisiwin. Pemutewin is your journey.
Journey.
Yeah. Your path. And this word actually is Pemute. Pemute. If you don't
Yeah.
pretend the WIN is not there. Pemute is how you say walk.
Walk.
Walking. And then any time that we add the WIN to our Cree words, it makes it into a noun. because our language is all verb-based, eh? We're always
Yeah.
describing something when we're speaking our language. Same with this WIN, we're making it to a noun. Kinship. Okay,
I was saying. Pimutewin
Wapanuk.
journey.
Wapanuk.
Wapanuk.
I'm
Wapanuk.
gonna put it over here.
The four directions.
Wa, pa, nuk.
Wapanuk. That's the east direction. Wapanuk. East direction. And then let's go to Sawanuk. South.
Wa, nuk.
South. And then Negapenu, west. Negapenu. That's the west direction. And Kiwetnu, that's the north direction. North, okay. So this is our journey here. I'm talking about the circle of life, okay? Wapanuk, where the sun rises every morning and sets in Negapenuk west. And it's right there, right? We see it every day. And seeing is believing. We cannot deny that, okay? So, it is a journey. And in Wapanuk, in the east directions, there's myriads and myriads of ininiwishiganat sikiskinomagewina, meaning indigenous cultural teachings. Ininiwishiganat si maskigia, indigenous cultural medicines that were left there by the Creator for us. Okay? And Wapanuk. But there's in Wapanuk we find the Uskipmatsiwin. Uskipmatsiwin, write it down.
Oske.
Wapanuk. Uskipmatsiwin.
Matisi. When.
Yeah, Uskipmatsiwin, that means new beginnings. New beginnings. And then under Uskipmatsiwin we have Iskoteo. Who can tell me what Iskoteo means? We all have it. Otherwise we wouldn't be sitting here, we don't have it. Kite. Iskoteo. Kite.
Spirits?
Fire?
No, close, you're warm.
Okay.
You're warm.
Yes.
What did you say?
Fire?
Fire and dwell.
Yeah.
Fire.
Fire. That represents the heartbeat. Our heartbeats, okay? And then the medicine there is Sistemao.
Skip it over.
Sacred tobacco.
Okay then.
Sorry.
Sistemao.
Oops. Okay. Huh?
Try to push that over that clip.
Uh-oh.
What is it?
You have a spray?
Where's the spray, John?
Yeah.
My son and I went to the Jets game on Sunday. Wasak Night,
Wasak.
Indigenous culture and sports celebration night. So I was just telling Cheyenne, I said, "Suke." Yeah, look, you have to scrub really hard to get it
Yeah.
out. Anyways, my son wrote a "Go Jets" sign, "Go Jets, go" sign in our language, and it read, "Suke Jets, suke." And a few people asked, hey, what does your sign say? And then, yeah, we had the chance to teach some people our language that night. However, when you say this, when you say the word suke, jet, suke, you have to say it with some emphasis. Suke, jet, suke.
Wow.
Like in hockey too.
That's awesome.
Okay, so I have to rewrite it out. So we were talking about wa, pa, nu.
Wapano. Yeah.
Over here, she says
Under Wapano, you write,
Under?
yeah.
wapanug, uskipimati
Skip math, siwin.
Do we know what uskipimati is? Lindsay, what's uskip?
No, I don't remember.
Pima,
What's
Did-
the matisiwan?
Oh, wow.
Siwen.
Yeah. New beginning. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, new
Yeah.
beginnings.
Yes.
Right, so this word alone, this means new.
Yeah.
Uske pimati
New
Pimati
beginnings.
is life, new life. East.
And then under
Take on me
that,
na. Oh yeah, uskoteo, I had written down.
Escuteo.
Escoteo, sistema.
Yeah, sistema. Okay. So, sistema, that's the medicine in the east direction, Wapanug. Ego to ga istapit. Sistema. Okay. That's where the sacred medicine sits in the east direction. So, uskip mat siwin, new beginnings. Kita tip mo tana now, maybe like, yeah, eko ta. We start off with the east direction because it's new beginnings to skip mat siwin. Kagi ani buwaga eko tagiseman. Now we arrived in Sawano, south direction, right south there. Oh yeah. And that's where the Kinawao, youth, that's where you are in your journey, the youth, right youth there.
Uskatsak.
Uskatsa, yes, Uskatsa. Uskat, yeah, youth, Uskatsa. Okay. Youth. And I'm talking about the medicine there is
More like our
here,
children.
right there.
Here, I'll get
What
it.
is this? What is this? Sage. That's what, that's the medicine in the south direction.
Tansi patana.
That's what makes you that they say, so you,
Pasqua. Pasqua misclas.
This one. Pascat, well, it's a good word, it's a long word. Kaskapad sigewin, kaskapad sigewin, kaskapad sigewin, kaskapad sigewin. Kaska, K-A-S-K,
Kaska.
P, yeah, kaskapad, P-A-T, no, P-A,
Just say the word.
C-H.
Yeah.
C-H,
Ito mo ito eh.
kaskapad sigewin.
Che.
Yeah.
Ke.
Wearing. Tapos kapag sige, that's sage. Sage yung tagas. That's the medicine in the south direction. Okay? Do we stop there in our journey?
What is
So we start, look at the east. This is the east, right? Where the sun rises every morning.
What is this? It's gold tail. Yeah.
Fire.
Fire. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, fire.
Uskatisak is more like our children,
Yeah.
because we're all adults here.
Yeah, that's children, grandchildren, great grandchildren. And it's just the amount of tobacco on that side.
Tobacco?
Tobacco.
Tobacco.
Tobacco, yeah. So we're talking about Sawano, Uskip
North?
Uskatsak, yeah, that includes all our children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, okay? Because it's very, very inclusive. And kaskapat sila painan sa sage smoke, that's the medicine there. Do we stop there? We continue, right? We continue our journey, okay? So we're continuing on Negapenu. Negapenu.
Negapawanuk, I heard Negapawanuk.
What's that?
Negapawanuk.
Okay, we say it different ways, right? I'm just using my
Just
Swampy
like-
dialect.
Just like
Negapenu.
sage, there's a number of ways to say sage, so this
Yeah.
is one way. FYI, you may hear it another way in like our language resource books.
Because there's so many beautiful indigenous languages on Turtle Island, right? We are so rich in our culture. This is what we're trying to portray here. Negapenu, that's the west direction, and that's where you, all of you are right now, adults.
Yeah, adults. I'm trying to think of the Cree word for adults.
Ininiwag.
Yeah, in the new.
Ininiwag.
Deus Kininiya.
Well, ininiwag is we're all ininiwag. Yeah. Adults, okay? And the medicine there, who can tell me the medicine there? I don't have anybody here that's wearing it. 3 strands. Sweet grass. Sweet grass. Do we stop there? No. You continue on our journey. Here at the north. And that's where, let's go.
Get
That, we'll start off with the medicine there. It's,
Okay.
Cedar. The medicine there is cedar. And we say cedar in Cree, sitapi ko na, para sa long word. Sitapi ko na. Sitapi ko na.
I know there's no C in our language, so I know it's a
Yeah.
S. C,
Sitapi ko na.
ta,
Tapi ko na.
pi, kwa,
Pi ko na. Yeah.
wana.
Sitapi ko na. Cedar. Okay. And the medicine is cedar there, and Kiseiak elders, elder Kiseiak, like me, just write elder there.
Elders.
Yeah. And make your circle.
Okay.
Pato pano. So what I'm trying to emphasize is, now that we're on a circle of life journey, right? And it makes sense, right? New beginnings, and then we crawl and walk towards the south direction, okay? And then what are you doing here now? As you're sitting here, all of you. What's your purpose?
Family.
You're here to get educated, right? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to school. You're climbing that ladder of success. Along the way, it's a long, long journey. Along the way, along your way here, you meet your partner. You realize your goal. You graduate. Or you want to become like a nurse or a doctor or a teacher. And you've arrived in a west direction, like your teachers right now are sitting with you. That's what they had to do from the east, south to be in a north, in a west direction right now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Does it make perfect sense? Yes. Right on. So we continue. Okay, one. Okay, 180.
Oh, I was just gonna tell them, oske pimatisiwan. Oske is how you say new, right? Something new. You could even say oske tetapun, new chair. Oske is squel, a young woman who's converting from like teenager to an adult. Oske is squel, new women.
Yes.
So yeah, new life is that what translates to, and we're referring to the babies, right? That are just born. Because in the east direction is where the sun rises, right? Because maybe you've heard the saying or the phrase, it's a new day. It's a brand new day. So like referring to a new beginnings.
Okay.
And over here, uskatisak is how we say, is how we refer to the youth in our language. Uskatisak. Uskatis for singular form. Uskatis is singular. This is a rule in our language. Uskatisak. Anytime you,
It's being inclusive.
yeah, you're making it plural by adding the ak at the end. That's a language rule in our language. I'll go over here. Adults.
Adults, I say that
Jätteek,
in
wat dat zo
How do you say adults? Skutskina.
Ayaw natin mag-iskog.
Oh yeah. So yeah.
Natin mag-iskog. Gete, muni na gete natin.
All right, over here, how we say man, men,
Kaya,
because I have the AK in the end. Is
Iswewa. Because you're already, men and women from you're youth. It's about growth. You know what I mean? Development. Yeah. So that's falls under the west direction.
And then when you go north, you've almost completed the circle.
Yes.
See it, Gegats?
So my point is, remember those 4 questions that I had? That's why I wanted to talk about the whole circle of life. So Wapanuk, every morning, what do you see coming up every morning? Wapanuk,
Pism.
Bishim.
There we go. Okay.
Gishigari Bishim. Yes. Right, sun here, Gishigari Bishim. Sun.
Bisim,
Yeah, Gishigari Bishim.
sun.
And then when you're here, when you reach Sawano, this word it gets very, very spiritual. Okay, because you know what? We are all spiritual beings. Do you agree? We are all spiritual beings. People from the 4 directions of mankind, they are all spiritual beings. Nobody can deny that. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter if you're a Russian or a German. You are a spiritual being. Because we were all gifted with these awesome gifts. Uski, Matsiwen. Okay? So, coming, as far. Wapan mo kung isip mo din, sawan mo kung din ipawin, to Wisconsin. You know, you're a youth right now. That's where you're. But, let's look at the sun. The sun that comes up every morning in the Wapanu, east direction. And then we arrived in Sawanu. And that's where we find the, where you are right now. We're talking about Iskuteu and Nipi, water. It's the gift. Okay? So Nipi uta sign ay Nipi. But in I'm talking about way what do you call traditional teachings from time immemorial. I see it here. It's okay, wait. That's his gift. Oh yeah. Binesyo magsasanan. Thunderbird. Binesyo. Bowls, Nipi, water. Water is precious, right? We are made of over close to 100% water.
90%.
That's how powerful water is. Binesyo, Thunderbird takes care of the water. That's his gift. Binesyo was given that gift to take care of the water. Okay. Now we move to the Negapenuk. Ego tayo kana when you go outside, what do you feel outside?
Air.
Wind.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Na
Futa?
wind. Lutin, wind. And Lutin, grandfather was given the gift of to cleanse Mother Earth, to cleanse all us human beings, the breath of life. Okay? Lutin, the breath of life.
Breath of life?
Breath of life, yeah. Breath of life. Because Nutin, the wind cleanses the earth. It's just so, how do you say that? So self-explanatory, right? When you really look at the circle of life, okay? You can just, that's, my goodness, that makes sense, Okay, we're at Newton, breath of life. And now we are up to Kiwit Nuk, elders, north direction. And in the north direction, we find it's a long term. White buffalo.
White buffalo?
Yeah, white buffalo. Wapiskip mistus. We say that, right? Wapiskip mistus. And Wapiskip mistus take care of the whole circle of life. Okay. And like I started off, there's so many myriads of teachings in every direction. We're not going to have time to, in this lifetime, in this lifespan, I'm telling you right now, we will never learn all the awesome teachings in every direction. Do you ever go to the beach? You ever go to the beach? When you go to the beach, go like this, look. Take a handful of sand and look at it. And look at that sand, the glistening sand. That's how many awesome, beautiful teachings are in every direction, in the east, south, west, and the north. Turtle Island. Okay. Do you ever wonder why we call it Turtle Island? Does anybody know?
Sheep. The sheep of the continent.
I
The
said
shape of the continent.
Sorry.
you know those people that go to space, astronauts? They go up right way up, and one time they happened to look down on Mother Earth, and they saw a shape of a turtle. North America. That's why we call it Turtle Island. Yes. That is so awesome. Okay, so we're at north direction. A white buffalo that takes care of a ski, right? A ski there. White buffalo, a ski. Yeah. But I want to stress one more teaching in the circle of life. Okay? So I started off with 4 questions, right? Remember? You have to know where you come from. Where do you come from?
Where am I from?
Yeah. Okay, that's the question. And that's the question that you ask yourself. Where I am. Where do I come from? Where do I come
Where
from?
do I
Where do
come
I
from?
come from? Where do I come from?
Where do I come from?
Yeah. Where do I come from?
Oh, do I? Why?
Come. Where do I come from?
Where do I come from?
And when you arrive in a south direction, you have to ask yourself, I hope you're asking yourself, who am I? Right? I hear that every day with my students from kindergarten and up. Who am I? They come to me and say, who am I? Or, other baby, I want to know who am I? So that's the question here. Someone, who am I? Oh yeah, who am I? And you go into the west direction, you ask yourself, well, why am I here? Why am I here? What is my purpose? That's what you should be asking yourself, what is my purpose? And in the north direction, question is, well, I'm asking myself, where am I going? And the teaching is that the circle of life never ends. Always, 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 always in motion, evolving. Okay? So in a nutshell, there are so many powerful teachings in every direction. And the circle of life never ends. And these questions are so crucial. Where am I from? Who am I? Why am I here? And where am I going? And those are, I learned this from before the residential school systems when I was only 5 years old. My custom adopted father took me to Sugar Falls. How many heard about Sugar Falls? My story. Before the residential school. You know what? The residential school in Crosshaven was right across from my home. Can you imagine that? I never looked at it, but I would hear the children laughing and playing. Instead, a few feet from my home, I found myself a sanctuary where I used to go and sit every day and look at the bugs. And I just, pretty soon I started talking to them in Cree. And I used to say to them, you're just here to survive too. Pretty soon I started looking at this, the butterflies would come, the little animals. And then I started talking to them in Cree. And the wind, the sun, everything around me. And I used to dance with them. And then I found this little rock, and I used to sit like this. I felt some kind of a pull, something trying to pull me. But I remained seated there, and I just started talking to nature. Pretty soon I started bringing them water, little bits of bannock to share. I didn't realize I was doing this prior to Sugar Falls. One time my father taught me I'm going to have to take it. I'm going to take you somewhere. And take us kinamatan. Nawawiyak matsu, I want to teach you about the whole circle of life. So off we went to Sugar Falls. Sugar Falls is Cross Lake and Norrie House are only 50 miles apart. And Sugar Falls is right in the middle of Cross Lake and Norrie House. There's 5 portages that we had to go through. And the most powerful one was Sugar Falls. Suga with Barry stick. And that's where I stood when I was only 5 years old. I'm 78 now. 75 years ago, I stood there with my father. And he taught me about the whole circle of life here. And he told me, it's almost like as if he foresaw my future. He told me that I want you to keep all these teachings deep within the recesses of your being. Where you're going, you're going to suffer trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma. He said it 4 times. And of course, at 5 years old, my brain was still developing and I couldn't understand. And he told me, you will not understand now, but you will later on. And you will lose these teachings because you're going to get lost. And the 4th one that you're going to go through, you're going to get lost. You won't have any remembrance of Sugar Falls in the teachings. And that's going to be a long journey for you. Kikawanitan, kitayamiwin, I'm going to lose my voice. He told me I was going to lose my voice, my indigenous voice. I didn't understand what he was saying, but it's happened for so many years. And then he said, there's only 2 roads in this life. There's that dark road, like this, that leads to misery forever. And there's that road of light, happiness, peace, and harmony. And he told me you're going to go through that dark journey for many, many years. It'll take you so many years to know who you are, where you come from, to know who you are, to know why are you here, and to know where am I going. That's just in a nutshell, those teachings. Those are so very powerful. So Sugar Falls is it's not so much about my journey, but I just want to honor my Kastamatawid father, your great-grandfather, for teaching me about the whole circle of life. Okay? Because your grandmother, as my father, their brothers, their brother and sister. So I'm so honored to meet her. I haven't seen him for quite a while. So it just, my heart was like, oh my gosh, here he is, yeah. So anyway, well, that's why I moved to it. So, so many beautiful teachings in the whole circle of life. And I was just so honored to have these teachings. And then my father told me, but muna kakita na weni teno mo kane pagita man, you can't keep these teachings, you have to share them. You have to share them towards the generations. And you know what, that's what's happening right now. I have a lot of generations and grandchildren, great-grandchildren. I think there's one on the way, so it's going to be 12 great-grandchildren that I have. I feel so rich. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. And we all have duties in every direction. Once you arrive in the east direction, that's where you sit. Kitanwe and to rest. And you know what? You gather all your generations, because along the way you're going to have a lot of generations, and you gather them and sit them in a circle like we're sitting right now, and share about the circle of life, share about the teachings from the east, south, west, and the north. And that's how we keep these teachings from generations of generations of generations. That's how we taught me. And everything's coming full circle. I do a lot of work here in 31 and 35. And I'm going on a wonderful journey across the nation about Sugar Falls and Return to the Falls.
Which we will show you in a while.
Okay. So there's so much work that needs to be done, and I'm so honored that you're here and that you're able to, understand the whole circle of life. And I'll give it to you now.
Okay, so